Hello, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new. We've got a interesting video ahead of us, to say the least. So recently, the CEOs of Scentsy, which are not the consultants, it is actually Heidi and Orville Thompson. They recently returned to the United States of America after being in London on I believe it was a 3-year-long mission trip. They are of the Mormon faith, so they were there for their church doing a mission, and they did a interview-ish type video about their trip and made it clear that this was not a Scentsy video, but somehow related almost the whole thing to Scentsy. Yeah, it was that good. We're gonna watch the whole fucking thing together and react, but first, we need this disclaimer.
Yeah, so we're getting ready to come home. We have,
we've been here 3 years, but it feels like 10. Feels like 10.
yeah, we just went to,
It's 11 p.m. your time right now.
It is.
Yeah, yeah.
It is. And like I said, we still have to pack. And we at 8:30 in the morning, our APs, assistants to the president, are going to show up at our house to take all the food out of here that we won't eat.
This isn't our house. This is a temporary location because the flat that we live in is getting ready for the new leaders who we'll pick up at the airport tomorrow. So this is like Nick. I think we heard you were saying it's not about Scentsy.
It's about our 3 years away.
Yeah, and why we were here, and really to answer questions, because we know that people might have questions about what we've been doing or why we've been doing it.
Or why, yeah.
And,
or how we've been doing it.
There is a lot of similarities between our work here and our work at Scentsy. We don't really see a difference between how we are called by God to bless his children. I mean, we have different roles to play as a mission leader or as a business owner, but we have the mindset of everything we do is to help Heavenly Father bless his children. And so in that regard, it's very similar.
In that regard, but they're going to keep bringing up Scentsy. Okay, so to give you a little bit more context before we really get into the meat of this video, the individual that is hosting this call is a very tippity top leader in Scentsy. She is a director. I don't know if she shows her face or says her name or anything, so I'm not going to blatantly say her name, but I will tell you that she was on a season of Big Brother in Canada, and she is a Scentsy consultant. So for whatever reason, she was hosting this call. Not sure why. They are affiliated through Scentsy. It's really bizarre. My thought is, are they trying to pull in Scentsy consultants into Mormonism? Because while it's slimy and I don't agree with it, it makes sense that they would do this call in this form on YouTube publicly with a top leading Scentsy consultant that is well known with a large audience. Why else would you do this, right? Am I crazy?
Maybe a little.
That was my logic behind it when I received this recording while I was laying in bed, and I just had to watch it. You know I did. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I watched more than I should have. So yeah, that's basically the context behind this video. It gets really wild, and it is a long one. So get your snacks, cuddle up with me, and let's continue on.
I made popcorn.
Should we just start with questions? Would questions actually be better?
If anybody has any,
Yeah. I just asked on the group chat if anybody has a question, or you can raise your hand.
Sure. I don't know.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh.
Heidi, look, they're coming to Florida for the 20 year.
yeah.
It had 3 years. How they can hear me? 3 years and
I'm not hearing you properly, Misty. Are you the one speaking? Maybe we could, if you guys could write your questions, because there's a lot of people, so the audio might not do very well. But so if you have a question, you could write in the chat or put your hand.
Just
up.
raise your hand.
Raise your hand.
And then we'll call on you.
Okay, so
now have it on. Hi, my friends. My Scentsy friends. It's fun. And
So there's
And
a question. Oh, sorry.
I'm just going to say too that there are a lot of other people on this call that are of our same faith. So any of you, if you want to chime in, please feel free.
Okay, so we have a couple questions. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Okay.
We have, what did you find most challenging about being on your mission, and how did you overcome that challenge?
Well, that's a good one. For me, silly little things were most challenging, like trying to keep up on the Facebook page, posting pictures of the missionaries so the parents could see it. Very challenging for me. Very, very. And the other thing is probably health. My health a little bit. Keeping up on that. Trying to get the sleep that we should all have and drink enough water and
the nutrition.
Exercise.
Yeah, we feel like we're 10 years older. Easy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Missionaries feel like they have a glow up when they go home because mission life is really hard. And mission leader life is really hard. Physically, high stress.
Do you want to talk about that? Like, what is, if a missionary, what do they do?
Yeah.
So
nobody knows really.
So the people wonder, what do missionaries do? Why do they come out? Where do they come from? So let's give you a little demographics about our mission.
Very fun. Right now, we have 48 different countries represented, and we have 175 missionaries.
So these are young people, 18 to, we had one sister that was 32 from Pakistan. We have missionaries from all over the world, from Argentina to northern Canada to Hong Kong to Pakistan and Iraq, Armenia,
yeah.
all over Africa, all over Europe. So
we just got our first Congo.
Yeah. So these are members of the church that have a desire to serve. Now, the early in the church, in 1837, July 20th, 1837, the then leader of the church, the prophet Joseph Smith, sent missionaries to England. This mission has been in operation since then. So this is the oldest mission in the church. It's very much an honor to have led it. And missionary work has been part of the church ever since. What do we do? We're seeking those who want to let God prevail in their lives. That's the definition of Israel. If you translate Israel, it's to let God prevail. And the house of Israel, or the gathering of Israel that's foretold in the Bible, is about finding those who are willing to let God prevail in their lives. Kind of like Carrie Underwood's Jesus Take the Wheel, right? If you're willing to let him be the driving force in your life, then we have firm conviction that your life will be better. The missionaries are there to help people go on that journey. People who are looking for ways of letting God guide their life.
So in a sense, anybody who is a consultant, you're like a missionary.
What?
I don't like to let my videos go too long in between when I provide commentary, but I had to let that cook. I needed that all to be in one chunk, leading up to her saying the Mormon missionaries are very similar to Scentsy consultants. Just let that sink in. Let it sink right on in there. I think that's an interesting point because there is a lot of ties within the MLM community and Mormonism, and also the online coaching business. Russell Brunson is a Mormon. The founders and owners of LuLaRoe are Mormon. Whitney Rose and Justin Rose from Soul People, they were Mormon. They're no longer in the Mormon church. They're not part of that anymore, from what I understand, unless they rejoin that too. But it's just interesting to me to see all of those ties and not quite understand them, but then hear her say that when she was born and raised, as far as I know, in the Mormon faith. Let's get back into it.
And you're so excited about joining Scentsy that you go out and talk to other people and ask them to join your team. The missionaries go out and ask people to come unto Jesus Christ.
And it's because of their enthusiasm, their belief in him, their relationship with him, and the enthusiasm they have for him. Well, I would say that's why they all come. They're pretty young. Some of them come because of family pressure. Some of them come because it's an adventure.
Or they think it will be where they meet their new best friend.
Y'all, this is just doing everything for me. When we think about the Mormon missionaries being a lot like these Scentsy consultants, that's not wrong. Again, I don't disagree with that. I think it's just fucked up, to say the least. A lot of times when you look at consultants that joined the MLM, Scentsy, or any MLM, it's because of the pressure that was applied to them by the person that recruited them. How many times did they have to ask before they got a yes? Because remember, especially Scentsy consultants are always saying a no isn't a no forever. It's a no for right now. So the pressure that is applied to people who join Scentsy is probably a lot like the missionaries who are pressured by their family to be missionaries. And that's the same for the people who needed the community of Mormonism or felt like they needed the community of Mormonism. That's also another huge reason that I see people join Scentsy or any MLM that promises some kind of community for them to join into.
So what happens a lot is while they're here, as they turn their hearts to serving other people and to helping people solve their problems, amazing things happen to them. They become really good people. They become caring. They become diligent. They become faithful.
Full of charity, wanting to serve others.
And watching that transition with them is amazing. And that's what really happens when Christ comes into your life, is your desires are to be more like him, to emulate him, to take on his attributes as your own, and to work to develop them. And so the missionaries are finding people who have deep questions about where they came from, why they're here, where they're going, what's the purpose of life, how to live a happy life. And then they help them connect to Jesus Christ and his example so that they can improve their lives and escape the consequences of a very ugly fallen world.
Exactly. What the?
And our job was to help teach them, encourage them, keep them healthy and strong, make sure they had a place to stay, transportation. And that was what the stress for us was, you know, we had 170 parents who sent their child halfway around the world, and
we got to take care of them.
Yeah.
I like being the mom and dad.
I love that. And the missionaries that I've met, they would say something like, things that I really cared about, I really don't care about anymore. It like really changes your perspective. The one missionary we have in our area, he sold his Corvette to go on a mission because you have to raise, in Canada, you have to raise $13,000. So, and as a woman, I really think missionaries are just so great because they have to take care of themselves. They're not just being taken care of. And then they get a girlfriend or a wife, and then the wife has to take care of them. Like they have to organize things. They have to cook their own meals. Like it's just so good for them to learn these life skills. Like as a woman, it's just like, it's so good. But there's a couple of questions I have. What would be your typical day?
So we would wake up.
That's kind of hard, actually, because
Waking up is really hard.
Yeah. But they're really, every 6 weeks we did the same thing. So, but every day was not the same. But every 6 weeks was the same, if that even makes sense. Are you gonna move that? Yeah. Okay.
I think that it was just really high and kind of awkward.
No, that's too
It'd be a little more comfortable.
And now we're like,
Lori did say that you guys look so good. So there's a few comments on there. They said you look so good.
Okay, so yeah, as Heidi was saying, there's a 6-week cycle. So some days we are really we're onboarding missionaries. Then
meetings.
Yeah, we'd have a week of what we call zone conference where we're training. It's kind of like boot camp. Every 6 weeks. It's a training.
Onboarding, sponsoring. Those seem the same. The crossover of the way they talk about Scentsy. If you are in Scentsy, you know. I can't fully relay the similarities that I'm seeing in the way they talk about their religion and the way they talk about Scentsy. But from being in Scentsy for 4 years and seeing them talk so often at Scentsy Family Reunion or World Tour or wherever I was, or on a call, whatever it was where I was listening to them talk, the verbiage that they use in their faith and in the Scentsy trainings or community is so scary to me after seeing this. The crossover is wild. And if you are in Scentsy and you understand what I'm talking about, please let us know in the comments, because I can't be the only one. They're talking about onboarding new people every 6 weeks. That sounds a lot like sponsoring new people. The conference boot camp, a lot like boot camp. They have director boot camp at the headquarters of Scentsy. Every year, they have leaders in Scentsy come to the headquarters of Scentsy and train for however many days. and they call it boot camp. And he just referred to his training in the Mormon Church for Missionaries boot camp. Okay.
Every Monday, we had an office council meeting with all the missionaries, the senior missionaries who work in the office with us.
To support them, yeah.
So we would have a meeting to kick off the week and to know what we're all doing for the week. And then after that, we would meet with the social media team, and that is 6 missionaries, and they do all the ads that get put out on Facebook.
Yeah. And they're amazing. They the social media effort has been really effective. And what's nice is through social media, people will find the church, and then they can go on the internet and find everything negative that someone has to say about it, and then make a decision. They say, in spite of all this negative, I feel something special when I see this ad. I want to know more. And so the social media has been very, very helpful. A lot of people are referring themselves and asking missionaries to come. So we don't door knock very often, like the olden days.
Liar. Sir, these missionaries come to my door every fucking day. We saw it in a recent video. They're literally at my door every day. They don't go door to door anymore. Stop lying.
Most of the missionaries would, their day, they wake up, they exercise, they eat breakfast, plan the day, and then at 9:00 they open the day where they sing a hymn and say a prayer and read, a chapter or two from the Book of Mormon. And then they have an hour of personal study where they're studying from the Bible, from the Book of Mormon, from Preach My Gospel, which is like the handbook for missionaries. They prepare for the day. Then they companionship study, where they study for a half an hour. They're learning a language. They study for another half an hour.
We have 5 languages in our mission.
Yeah. Wow. So they study that, and then they go find, teach, and baptize. They're finding those who will receive them. People who are looking for changes in their lives. If people are happy with where they are, we bless them, and that's not who we're looking for. We're looking for people who are really victims of a fallen world and looking for a solution, and then helping them with that solution if they so choose. And they work that until 9:30. They'll have an hour for lunch and an hour for dinner, and then at 9:30 they go back to their flats until 11, and then they go to bed.
It's a very long day. They work really, really hard. So for us, church on Sunday, and we might attend baptisms, missionary baptisms. Monday was our office meeting and meet with the social media team. And then the second half of the day was preparation day for Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, because every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we always had something going on. Either it was Zone Conference, where all the missionaries came in, and it was a day of training where we trained them on finding, teaching, and baptizing, or it was interviews. And we have 9 zones of missionaries, and a zone is an area where they're serving. So we had 9 zones, and so it would take 3 weeks of Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays to do all of the interviews. We would meet with all of the missionaries every 6 weeks.
And I think together we calculated, we've probably done about 6,500 hours of interviews in 3 years.
Wow.
Almost a full-time job of just interviewing missionaries. And we're talking about their mental health, their physical health, their spiritual health, the challenges that they have, their social health with their companions, and really loving on them and cheering them up and teaching them a few things. And that's a lot of our work, was just being their advisor and counselor. And then we have 1 week that we would get ready for what's called transfers. When new missionaries are coming and old missionaries are going. And it's incredibly prayerful and spiritual. I have a very firm conviction that this isn't my work. It's not the work of our church. This is the Lord's work, and He guides and directs it. I'll give you a couple of examples.
Fun stories.
Someone did ask, sorry, before you keep going, someone did ask which organization that you're, yeah.
So we're mission leaders for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
That's also known as Mormonism, if you've never heard it called the Church of Latter-day Saints. Like I said, I watched some of this more than I should have before reacting, and I'm processing. I don't even know how to put into words how this feels right now, but I'm really trying. I'm really trying, I promise. I still am working through some shit. right? Because I was in Scentsy for 4 years. That's a long time. And emotionally, I'm over all of the things, but it sounds so dumb, right? If you were never in an MLM, it might sound really dumb, but it takes a long time to process and work through everything. And hearing them right now talk about specific things that they're doing with their missionaries as missionary leaders, this is almost identical to what they're doing to Scentsy consultants. And everything that he has said is just like, oh yeah, I remember doing that, but like it was more geared toward Scentsy and the business and not God or Jesus Christ. And it's just like, whoa, what a mind fuck. So I'm working through it. I'm trying to like make sure that I'm providing the commentary that's in my head, but I also want to be careful with the way I say things. I don't want to be a bigger bitch than I already am, but we're processing this together, right? Okay. I'm just going to say that a lot of the things, almost every single thing that they say they're doing with their missionaries, they do with their consultants, which is scary to me. It just feels scary. Okay. Let's get back into it. We've got a ways to go.
And we were called. We didn't ask to do this. We were called by
Somebody asked on there, are you going to serve another mission? And so that's what I was going to say too, is we got asked to do this. It was not, we didn't say, let's go on a mission.
Yeah, and this is hard enough. It's a one and done. Now, a lot of people after they retire, they will volunteer to go on missions just like young missionaries. But mission leaders, they're asked by the prophet, set apart by a member of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles. And it's a once in a lifetime thing because it's too hard to do it twice.
We barely made it the first 3 years.
But so rewarding. So here's an example. So Elder Sangoma comes from Zimbabwe. He joined the church a year ago because he lived next to the church and they played games there. So he'd go play sports with the missionaries and the new members. His life was not very good. He didn't have any opportunities. He didn't have, his family situation was pretty rough. And
he came into the mission not speaking very good English.
Yeah.
So he definitely was learning English.
And he loved the change that he had made and he wanted to help others. He thought he'd get called to Congo or something like that. He gets called to London. Scared to death. Never been on an airplane. Never seen an escalator. A
lot of firsts for him.
So we have the interview. He says, President, I don't speak English. I won't be able to teach.
With the accent. Just quit while you're ahead, Orville. Don't do that, please, for the love of everything holy. Just don't. We know he probably has an accent. He's from a different country. We don't need you to impersonate the accent. Thank you and good night.
So, part of the process of giving people companions, we find their trainers and they're in an area, and then these new missionaries, we assign them to a trainer. I had assigned Elder Sangoma to the Ilford area of London, where there's a large African population. With a companion that I thought would work well with him. Right at the last minute, I had an overwhelming feeling. I mean, it was profound and overwhelming that he needed to be changed. So I moved him to Riverway, the Riverway ward in Guildford. Now, Guildford is like a tech center. It maybe is the widest area of our mission boundaries and quite wealthy. So here's this poor kid from Zimbabwe that doesn't speak very good English. He gets, I assigned him to the Riverway ward. He said, President, I can't speak English. I says, you will find people that speak Shona, and no one else can teach them but you. So that day he gets to his area late. The next morning, they get a social media referral. So he and his companion go to this house, and as they were walking up the door, 2 little African kids come running out speaking Shona. And he starts speaking back to them. And they went in and they taught this family, and the family had members of the church that were friends in Zimbabwe, and they moved to England and wanted to get connected with the church here, but there wasn't anybody that spoke their language, and the local unit didn't have anybody that speaks the language. And we asked the missionaries who have served in Riverway, have any of you ever received a referral from somebody who speaks Shona in Riverway? And never.
Nope.
But the one day that somebody wanted somebody that speaks Shona to show up at their door,
somebody who speaks Shona.
That day I got an impression to send this young man from Zimbabwe into the most irrational of areas. And he blessed that family. God knows us. Yeah. And when we pray, he will send angels. And sometimes those angels look like missionaries who don't speak the language.
We have a saying here in the mission. What are the chances? 100%. 100%.
Because the logic just isn't there for it to really be anything but heaven directed.
The logic isn't there for anything right now. Anything. Just stop talking. Sometimes, like, people, I don't think they hear the words coming out of their mouth. But luckily, this is a public video on YouTube, so he can search it up and rewatch and hear what he's saying.
I love that. Thank you for sharing. That's a great story.
That's one of a dozen, right?
Oh,
This
yeah,
happens
so
on such a regular basis.
So many.
You could probably start a podcast and just share those stories because they're so amazing, and that really warmed my heart. And he probably felt so special that day. He felt so lost, and then he feels like, okay, I am needed right here. And then you just have faith.
Well, we talk about being perfectly positioned. When we turn our lives over to God, He will make a lot more out of us than we can ourselves. Because if we will listen, He will position us perfectly to learn the lessons we need to learn and to turn weak things into strong things. We're all given weaknesses so that we can be humble and we can learn and we can empathize with others. And as we turn ourselves over to God and He helps us turn our arrows out, then that's when we really find true power in our lives.
That's another phrase that they use in Scentsy a lot. Arrows out. I forget. I want to say it was a story that one of them told on stage. And now the Scentsy consultants are always walking around, arrows out, arrows out, arrows out. And they get fucking tattoos of arrows when they go to Scentsy family reunion. I'm just saying this like all chill and whatever, but it is legitimately what happens. I was there. I saw it with my own eyeballs.
I have like so much to say, but it's not the Nick show. It's the Heidi and Orville moment. I just love everything. And I just want to get some more questions.
She said her name, so I'm going to say her name. It's a Nick from Big Brother in Canada is hosting this. I don't know who's on the call, but from the sounds of it, it's like maybe a Nick's team. I don't know. I don't know what's happening. I don't know why they did this. Doesn't make sense. Make it make sense. If you know, let me know in the comments. Why the fuck would they do this kind of call with their Scentsy team?
This doesn't make sense.
People had asked, what did Heidi have a different role than Orville?
I love this part.
I did almost all the same things as President did here, except he holds the priesthood and was able to like give blessings and things to the missionaries when they needed it, where I didn't. So, but everything else we did together.
And I think we did it more together than most mission leaders. Like we would always train together. We always stood at the pulpit together. The missionaries
Never saw us.
don't see
apart,
us as separate. And it was important because we have a lot of sister missionaries and they needed good role models. One of the things about the church that some people find problematic about our church is that only men hold offices of the priesthood. Now, in temples, and we're a temple building and a temple worshiping church, in temples, men and women are equal and their priesthood is equal. But men are given the offices of the priesthood and the responsibility to preside. And that goes all the way back to Genesis and Adam. But we also learn that if anyone tries to use their priesthood for anything other than to serve others, then they really have no authority. So it's not a right to rule or a right to run things. It is a responsibility to serve.
But how does that work? Who tells you what serving is? I feel like that's all up to interpretation for anybody. So you can just think that all the things that you're doing are to serve other people. But who is telling you that what you're doing is serving other people and not harming other people? That's what I always wonder. Because they use that verbiage also so often in Scentsy. Like you're serving, you're sharing, you're blessing people, blah, blah, blah. Who says that? Where's the proof?
And I think what the beauty that I see in it is, and my daughter was talking to a friend who was she grew up in the church, but was a little disaffected and was frustrated that it seemed like the church was male dominated. And my daughter made this point. She said, I'm grateful that there is an organization that teaches men how to be good.
Because,
yeah, where else in the world are men taught to be good? Most places they're taught to be competitive and dominant, and the priesthood teaches men to be humble, submissive, kind, obedient, service oriented.
Yeah, I was just thinking that too. Service.
Right?
I also find that society's kind of like pushing down the men. You know, it's like society's making women feel like they don't need men and that they can do things on their own. There's a big division happening, and I know that my view of men and women have completely changed once I joined the church.
Oh my God. Okay. I would love to know when she joined the church. Now, again, the individual that we're hearing, we don't see her. The individual that we're hearing is a top leader at Scentsy. Did she join the church because of Heidi and Orville? Because this is a whole nother plot twist. This is such a tangled web that we have to unweave. How are we going to figure all this out, friends?
And I learned more about why it's so important. But I have a different theory too.
To be honest with you, I think that men aren't very needed. Right?
You're right.
I mean,
Why is that always a narrative? Like it's either one or the other. Men aren't needed, women aren't needed, blah, blah, blah. We're all needed, right? Okay? It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. We all need a sense of independence that we can stand on our own 2 feet and figure life out on our own. But it's nice to have a companion to do it with, right? So let's just stop the narrative that we don't need men, men are better than women, or we don't need women, women are better than men. Like, just stop. You're making that own narrative up. Everybody is equally needed, except for MLM companies and pyramid schemes and scams and cults. Okay, getting back to it.
but God knows that. He knows that we're essential, but women can do most things on their own.
It's true.
And if men are not required to take on a wife and a family and devote their life to them, they become selfish and problematic, right? And so God in his wisdom has given men the responsibility to preside so that it can bring balance, not so that they can dominate. It is the adversary, it is Satan who has taken that and twisted it and turned men in their competitive nature, that natural man, and made it a subjugation of women instead of a support of women. Mm. And I think that's what the priesthood does, is teach men how to be good men.
You're pretty good, man.
You are.
Pretty good.
I love, someone had told me that God created Adam, and then to make his life better, he created women, to make his life better. He took a, piece of his rib and made his life better. That's what women do. They just make things better. But it takes two to tango.
Well, what I like to say is God does two things. He creates and he saves. And women sacrifice everything to create. And men sacrifice nothing to create. Mm. Yeah. And the only way that a man can stand next to a woman with any honor at all is to dedicate his life to being a savior, little s, right? He needs to save his wife and children. He needs to protect society. He needs to bring order and justice through his presiding. And if he doesn't do that, then he's just a despot and he's being led by Satan, right? But God knows better, and that's why he gives us a responsibility. And that's what we're trying to help these missionaries understand, particularly the elders. It is about becoming like Jesus Christ, who for whom everything was a service. When he needed something most, he gave what he needed most to others.
And is that why you went on a mission?
With the first time?
Yeah. Is this the first time?
Yeah. The first time it was out of duty, and then out of logic, and then out of love. Right? This time I went because a prophet called me. And when a prophet calls you to do something, you do it.
People are asking if you're going to go on another mission.
Not for a long time.
Yeah. Well, and I think our next mission is Scentsy.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Do I need to say anything? And as somebody who, oh my God, this is a lot, okay? I'm processing. Just work with me. Looking at them as people who are very deep into their faith. Like, they are on mission mode right now. For them to look at Scentsy as their next mission makes me really question the motives there. Especially now that they're coming out, so I haven't seen them this publicly talk about their religion and going on a mission. But now they're doing it this publicly and with a Scentsy team, from what I understand. It concerns me a little for the people that are in Scentsy. If you are in Scentsy and you're watching this, just know that you are their next mission. Take it however you want to take it.
For a while, for sure. And if we were to go on another mission, we would put in papers to go where we were called on this one. So there's a difference. And it would be for 2 years or 18 months, not for 3 years.
Yeah.
So,
But we won't do that until we retire. And we're not going to retire until Scentsy is in better hands than ours.
and I am a little tired, and I, like we said earlier, I have some things going on. I gotta fix myself now. I'm tired. We're now tired. So
but here's the thing. When you serve God, when you serve others, you're serving God.
Yeah.
And I think that Heidi and I can serve others without talking about our faith denomination. We don't have to encourage people to read the Book of Mormon and to join the LDS Church in order to do God's work. In fact, that is only...
Or just to be friends.
Yeah, that is only effective if people choose that because they find answers that they can't find anywhere else. Our role is to help people live better, happier lives by following the example of Jesus Christ. And not everybody accepts him as their Lord and Savior, but how can you reject kindness? How can you reject diligence? How can you reject the attributes of Jesus?
We get to be the light of Christ and shine. So.
Through Scentsy, you guys, do they really think they're being the light of Christ? Through Scentsy, a multi-level marketing company, this is a problem. And if you're somebody who's in Scentsy and you don't see a problem with this, you need to check yourself. They are speaking cult language all over you. It's just spewing everywhere, cult language. Especially if you're going to Scentsy Family Reunion, which at the time that this is going up, this Scentsy Family Reunion might be going on, or it may have just ended. I don't remember when this is going up. I can't keep track of anything anymore. So during their Scentsy Family Reunion, the first one that they've been to live in 3 years, I can't wait to see how they're spewing this language all over the people who have no idea what they're getting into. No idea. Like, this is culty, in my opinion, allegedly.
I love that. I always felt that way about both of you, that you were always serving. You would stand in a lineup for 3 hours just to hug and speak to everyone and make everyone feel so special, not like in a rush, not in a hurry. And I'm like, I'm not going to wait in that lineup. I would tell you, I'm not going to wait in that lineup because I don't want the lineup to be longer. You're like, oh, I don't mind. We love this. We see that you have this heart of serving other people. And I've never heard you speak about your church. I don't think we've ever had a conversation before. My friends here locally were shared with me Book of Mormon that I decided to read on my own because I was searching on my own. And
Who are you trying to convince?
Was it on your own? Why did she have to say on my own so many times? Was it on your own? Or was it because of these two individuals? We all know they're Mormon. We knew they were Mormon when we were in Scentsy. It's not a secret. Just because they don't talk about it all the time, in a way, they're talking about it. Because now that I'm sitting here listening to what they're saying about this mission trip that isn't about Scentsy, they say almost the exact same things, except for Jesus Christ is replaced with Scentsy or Scentsy Spirit. That's another one they like to use a lot.
like you said, you don't need to do that. You could just be more like him. So that is just so good. And you can see that.
And we can't fix anybody, but we can help people on their journey. And we have a firm conviction, because we've seen it over and over and over and over again. Jesus Christ can fix people. Yeah. He can help turn their bitter hearts soft and give up hatred that they've held on for years. He can help people see opportunities when there is nothing but gloom and doom around them. I think that he helped us with Scentsy.
I will second that. We were not smart enough to do Scentsy on our own.
Not even close.
So God was with us in everything that we did to build Scentsy.
And some of the things that are very...
we get to be stewards of it now too. We're not like the owners. God helped us and gave us something, and we get to help others through it and be stewards of it.
I feel like this just furthers Scentsy consultants thinking that they're the business owners, because she said they're not the owners. You are the owners. You own Scentsy. You are the tippity top of the top. You have the say in everything. You finalize everything. You are the owners of Scentsy. Stop sugarcoating the bullshit.
And I think that stewardship concept, it comes through the covenants that we make with God, right? The children of Israel in the Bible, it talks about the covenant that they made. Jesus Christ, there is a new covenant when Jesus Christ came and taught his gospel. When we make covenants with God, we make promises to him, and he promises us blessings. And the covenants that we make are all about other people. And just like in the Bible where it talks about he gave some people 5 talents and some people, one person 5 and one person 10 and one person 2. But he expects a return on that. And the return isn't in money. The return is how many lives are you blessing with what I have given you? And to whom much is given, much is required.
That's kind of the ripple effect.
Yeah. and Heidi and I have been given so much that it will take us an entire lifetime of service in order to not feel guilty about what we have.
Red alert. Red alert.
And we'll wear ourselves out in the service of other people. And if that means plantar fasciitis and Achilles tendonitis because our feet wear out standing in line for pictures, if we can make somebody feel good about themselves, if we can give somebody encouragement, if our hugs can make a difference in somebody's lives, then we will stand and give hugs because that's what Jesus would do.
Even with a backache.
Yeah, I'm really worried because my back has been cramping bad.
Like we said, it's been 3 years, but we've aged 10.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to stand for pictures anymore. We're going to have to sit and have people
sit in a chair and have people gather around.
Can we just talk about what he just said? Because I heard it. I don't know if anybody else heard it. And I'm sure somebody's going to come in the comments and tell me I'm twisting his words, but this is how I interpreted what he just said. He said that he and Heidi have so much, it's going to take them an entire lifetime of serving others to not feel guilty. So are we serving others to help others, or are we serving others to get rid of the guilt that you feel? Because I'm pretty sure what I just heard in my head, in my ear holes, they are open. They are serving others to not feel guilt. They are serving others to serve themselves so they feel better about themselves. That is how I interpreted it. I don't know if that's just me, but it makes sense also. It all adds up when I look at how they treat Scentsy and how they train their Scentsy consultants and all of this bullshit. It feels self-serving more so than not. That's all I'm saying. Let me know. Let me know. Sound off in the comments. Tell me I'm twisting his words. Tell me you heard the same thing. Whatever the fuck. Let's get back into it.
You're both examples that Melody says I'm not, she says I'm not LDS, but I'm a Christian. And I love that this path has brought me to an organization where the leadership follows Jesus and his example. And you are exactly an example.
But here's like, I just feel impressed to tell you this. So why is it hard for us? Here's our last week. We had a missionary who just recently got diagnosed with diabetes. So he calls us up, President, I'm having a tough time sleeping during the night because I have to wake up and pee all the time. And we'd notice in a meeting that he's sleeping in the meeting. And I think, is he lazy or is something? Why is he sleeping so much? So then we get him, go to the doctor and get this checked out. And the doctor's taking too long. So we'll go to this private doctor and we'll get the insurance to cover this because we got to check you out. And then he gets some blood tests. And then they find out he's got diabetes and he's like on the edge of pancreatitis. And we got to get him back to America with his family.
His gut has been inflamed for over a year.
Yeah.
I'm sure he thoroughly is enjoying the fact that you are just out here spreading his medical information on YouTube. What are we doing? What the fuck are we doing?
And it's spreading. And that's very bad information.
And then we said, hey, how long has this been going on? Well, I've had diarrhea for a year, but I didn't think anything about it.
Which is before he came out on his mission.
Yeah. So now the next round of interviews, every missionary, hey, how are your bowel movements?
Yeah.
Right? Because I want to catch this a little earlier. Right? So that's one thing to worry about. How are the bowel movements of these missionaries? Because I don't want to see this happen again. We had one missionary had a stroke.
Hi. Nice to meet you. God, welcome to the Church of Latter-day Saints. When was the last time you took a shit? Was it solid? Was it diarrhea?
I gotta poop.
You gotta poop again?
It was a miraculous situation. He drove to this meeting. At the meeting was a senior missionary who was a doctor. Noticed the stroke right away, got him to the hospital.
But he drove to the meeting. So he was able to get himself there and get out of the car before he had the stroke.
Turns out he has a very rare terminal cancer. He's been diagnosed for 13 months. The longest surviving person is 15 months with this cancer.
With studies that were done.
Yeah.
Yes.
We just saw him yesterday. He came back with his family. He's doing okay.
And he's so, he said, I just want to live my life. So he, with all this chemo and he has to do like daily chemo, went back to school so that he could get an education and just live a normal life.
And he's like, President, I feel like I missed out on my mission. And I'm like, no, your mission is continuing, and you've got a lot, you got a lot to prove to the world. You just stay healthy and keep fighting. So that's heavy. We had 3 sisters in a car that got T-boned.
Totaled. The car was
totaled the car. Miraculously, they're mostly okay. We had another sister with a psychotic break and felt like there was somebody that was in bed with her. And, we had to get her psychiatric help and check out what's going on. We have missionaries who are, have severe social anxiety that we're helping them overcome.
Panic attacks and...
Sounds like they're at a fucking theme park over there in missionary land. What are we doing? What are we trying to accomplish?
Mysterious migraines for weeks at a time. And we realized, no, it's you just didn't realize you're depressed. And so we get them the best help we can get. So these things are all swimming around us at all times. It's the heaviness of 170 missionaries whom you love like your own children. And every one of their pains we feel. But also every one of their joys we feel.
Pretty cool.
And I'll be honest, it's not unlike Scentsy.
Yeah.
Right? Throughout the 20 years of Scentsy, we feel your collective pain. We feel your collective joy. And I think as we were called on this mission, that was lifted for a while.
Do we see it? Do we still see it? Or is it getting clearer now? They are treating Scentsy identical to how they treat their religion. I don't know if that's normal.
And I forgot a lot of names. And I thought, I don't know if I can go back. The last 6 months, it's descending again.
And now it's going the other direction where we're like, Elder, what's his name? Last night we did that. We both were like, the tall one. He lives in Alabama. What's his name?
Yeah. But now, like, I'm super excited about coming back to Scentsy. I'm super excited because I'm feeling your excitement. I'm feeling your angst. I'm feeling your worry.
Your love
I'm feeling your
support.
Love. And I think that is probably what makes our life the most full.
And helps the transition.
Yeah.
Because it's a weird thing to like talk about Jesus Christ for 3 years and wear his name, for 3 years and then come home and take this off and you're done. Okay.
Yeah.
So he might call me Sister Thompson and I might call him President a lot in the next little while. So.
Any other questions?
Imagine your husband calling you sister, your wife calling you president. I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh, but I can't help it. Sister is wild. What are we doing? What are we doing?
I don't really see any more questions. They're pretty much all the same, and they're all excited to see you.
You have a new house? Yeah.
Okay. So we sold our house about halfway through the mission. And we were building or starting to build, but ran into a bunch of problems and couldn't get the permits that we needed because we needed to do year-long sewer tests and stuff like that. So the house has just barely started being built. So yes, we bought a house to move into. And it's in our daughter Mary's subdivision where she lives. And so
we haven't seen it.
We haven't seen it. She went and she said, "Oh, it's cute. You should buy it." So we bought it. And we can look out some of our windows and see her house. And the kids say, "We want to go to Grandma and Grandpa's brown house. Grandma and Grandpa's brown house." So it's brown.
So we're going to see it for the first time on Saturday when we get home. And about an hour later, 50 of our missionaries are traveling from all over the United States to come welcome us home.
We have our homecoming. We speak in church on Sunday. So they
love us that much.
Yeah.
Tell me you need to be worshipped without telling me you need to be worshipped. Oh my God, it's so creepy. They love us so much. I don't know, it's a little cringy to me. It's a red flag for me.
So I'm like, we need shampoo in all the bathrooms. We need towels. We need pillows and blankets in case they don't have any. We need to make sure there's toilet paper and all milk and cereal and everything for all the missionaries that are coming.
Tara just made a nice comment. I've been with Scentsy 4 years and been on incentive trips, boot camps, convention, and can't wait to be able to meet both of you. I always felt a huge connection to both of you, and now I know why. We do as much with our church as we can and raise our children in the church. You're so inspiring, and I just can't wait to meet you.
Love you.
Well, that's really what it's all about. It's about helping people come unto Christ. Now, a very interesting comment from one of the. So in our church, we have it organized like the primitive church. So the governing council,
just like the scriptures talk about,
are the quorum of the 12 apostles. So we believe that there that quorum of 12 apostles was reconstituted. One of the apostles has become a dear friend of ours because he served in London as a young missionary, the Quentin L. Cook, and he's just a gem of a man. And one of the things we do here in Hyde Park Chapel, where our mission office is, we do. There's a lot of work with the refugees here in the UK, and they'll turn the basement into a clothing swap place for the refugees and things like that. And there were one lady came in, and there were some copies of the Quran, and she was able to, after losing everything and as a refugee, she got that copy and was so touched. And when he heard that story, he said, "Isn't that wonderful that we can help people connect with the Word of God?" Now it's interesting as a Christian apostle to talk about the Quran as the Word of God. But I think that is, similarly to where our Muslim friends, because there are a lot of them here in London, we talk quite often, and it's very multicultural. The religion is it's a religious city, quite actually. But for them to think of the Book of Mormon as the Word of God is kind of strange to them, and for us to talk about the Quran as the Word of God is a little bit strange. But the point is, anything that brings people closer to God, ultimately, if you are a Christian, means they are getting closer to Jesus Christ. And so any of the holy books that can drive people to the attributes of Jesus Christ is the Word of God in a sense, right? Not in the same way that the Bible is, but it still drives people towards Christ. And I think all religion plays a role in helping people come unto Jesus Christ. And there's too much of our church versus your church. Your church has is heretic because it has this belief, and your church does this, and your church does this, and only if you worship on this day, or only if you baptize in this way, or only if you get married this way. Those points of doctrine we can discuss, but there is far more that we agree upon, and that cooperation will help the world get closer to Christ through cooperation and through fighting about it. And we are thrilled to see anybody raising their family with faith, because it allows people to be to think bigger than themselves. And the problem with the world is people aren't thinking bigger than themselves. They don't think about the community that they're in. They don't think about the implication of their decisions. It's just a me, selfish world.
Sir. You said that you serve others so you don't feel guilty. Is that not a me, selfish thing to do? If it's not genuinely because you want to help people for the sake of helping people, and instead so that you don't feel guilty for everything you have, isn't that a little bit self-serving?
Well, when you put it like that.
Just want to put that out there.
We have to overcome that or we'll destroy ourselves.
Love.
I love you.
Love.
Well,
I
we're
love
gonna
that.
get-
And it's a great reminder for everyone, because everybody seems to want to be right. And it reminds me of this conversation at, I think it was Summit Orville. You guys were talking about arguing. And then you're like, if I win, you had this, what do I win? Like, if I'm right, what do I win?
Just bragging rights.
You've created a boundary with Heidi. So it's kind of like the same, like right now when people are saying, hey, my church, this, all that information, we're actually creating more boundaries, except that's not what Jesus did. Jesus just wants us to be more like him and loving and accepting and just, and being wherever people show up, accepting them where they are. Sorry. Yeah.
Owen taught us that principle. He said, when you're married, you either win together or you lose together. No one wins no individual wins in a marriage. You either win together or you lose together. I thought that was profound from the mouth of babes. But we tell our missionaries all the time.
That must mean that's a good marriage, huh? Yeah.
We tell our missionaries all the time because they're in a companionship. They have to be together 24/7. They have 4 eyes on every screen. They have the only time they are alone is in the bathroom.
In the bathroom, yeah.
Right? Sight and sound at all times.
But when they go into the bathroom, they have to leave their phone outside the bathroom.
So, it's hard. You take a sister from Pakistan, and she can be a companion with a sister from the Philippines, or from, a daughter of a rich kid or of a rich family from Lehigh, Utah, and you put them together 24/7 for 6 weeks. There's some fireworks that can happen, right? And so we tell them over and over, it's better to be unified than right. Right? And that is such a mind-bending concept for these 18 to 20-year-olds.
And sometimes very hard to do for them.
But when they get it, man, they're powerful.
Because I think we have a missionary right now that calls at least once a week.
Yeah. My companion.
My companion.
We have one.
Well, wait, maybe you should look at yourself. You're the one that's always calling, complaining about your companion.
We have one fun missionary story. So, he's going to be famous.
He already is famous.
So it's kind of fun to talk about. So Elder Colin Chandler, he was a missionary here. He's now playing for the University of Kentucky basketball. He's a better missionary than basketball player, and he'll be in the first round of the NBA next year.
If he doesn't get hurt.
Yeah.
Yes, if he doesn't get hurt.
Just a spectacular young man, and he'll be fun to watch. And so any of you that are
he served with us, and we feel so lucky.
Big Blue Nation fans or college basketball fans, you follow Colin Chandler, you're going to see just a great young man making a difference, I think. But they're all very special in their own way, and we love each one of them. And loving them has given us the capacity to love you more. And we're excited to get back. And
actually, we were able to use that a lot. Like missionaries, they're young, so they don't fully understand when we say we love you to them. And so we would say, you're only 500. We have 500 missionaries, but we have 200,000 Scentsy consultants, and we love all of them.
And their money.
And then they're like, what? Oh, wow. Okay.
How do you love us? How can you do that? And here's the answer that we come up with. John Mayer. Sometimes you get it from the Bible. Sometimes you have to get it from Taylor Swift and John Mayer.
We're John Mayer fans. His music is amazing.
But,
maybe not his life. He needs God more in his life, for sure. But his music.
I want to go to dinner with John Mayer. Just have a good conversation. I think he and I could be friends. We'll talk watches and purpose of life. But John Mayer has a couple of very, very good lyrics. And one of them is, love is a verb.
It is.
Right? When we say we love you, what we're saying is, I am committing to you that you will come before me. I will put you first. That's what we mean when we say we love you.
Basically, we say we'll go to the ends of the earth for them. We'll do anything. So
the other thing about love that we noticed is that we love these missionaries the second they are assigned to us. And if we go back to our own children, when a baby's born, they poo, they coo, that's all they do. They cost a lot of money. They destroy your body. They take your time, but you love them
Sometimes we just like them.
Only when they're older, right? When they're those gooey little babies, you just can't help but love them, right? Yeah. And I conclude because God gives them to us.
Yeah.
They are entrusted to us. And if you think about your life as a stewardship, these missionaries were entrusted to us. And because of that, it's a natural love. But also, anybody who chooses to align themselves with anything that we do, including our Scentsy business, is, in a way, given to us as a stewardship. And so you all become very easy to love.
What? I don't know what to say. I think that we're about to wrap this up. Okay, I'm not gonna make everyone, including myself, sit through the rest of this video. It is awful. But there is one more point that they made that I wanted to show you before we wrap it up.
Right? Scentsy is not, we never really wanted to call ourselves a Christian company because we don't want to sell Jesus, right? We don't want to make money branding ourselves, but we did live our faith, and we don't want to hide our faith.
And it is part of who we are.
Yeah.
So,
but I don't think it's appropriate to not separate the two, right? In many degrees, or in many ways. But we will always be a PM away from anybody who needs help in their journey. So DM us. We'll reach out. We'll help you get connected to missionaries if you'd like. We'll encourage you in your faith journey in your own denomination.
Does anyone want to go to church on Sunday with me? I am this reunion going to tell a story about prayer and the theme sunshine. So that is going to be talked about a little bit at reunion. So,
and we're excited.
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear that. That should be very interesting.
We're excited. We're excited to have you. Everyone's excited. These Orvilleisms is what we need in our daily life. And Heidi, you just bring so much joy and love into the company. And I know we're all excited. And really, I know we care. We want what you guys want. We want to serve the company as well. And not that you dive too much into it, and take some time to heal as well. So that's really important, because if we're strong, then we could do big things, but we have to take care of ourselves first. And I think that's really important that you guys do that.
I think the role we'll have to play is one of, I think there's a tempo that needs to be set again. There needs some belief that has to be set again. There has to be some foresight to stop unforced errors from happening, right? And I think those are some things that we can do well. We can see around corners a little bit when it comes to Scentsy, and the teams can execute quite well. But I think what we hope to be able to bring is a little energy, a little direction, and a lot of tempo.
Did you tell them what time?
Yes, I told him.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay. So it's going to be a good ride. I think our mission, we did well. Our missionaries are happy.
Literally wore ourselves out. So.
But they are effective. There's a good culture here. They love it. We love them, and they love us.
Of course.
And we did it the same way we led Scentsy. And we learned some things that will help Scentsy get to hyper growth the third time, which has never been done before. And that's our next mission. Our next mission is to show you all that it's all in here and in here. It's not the external forces that cause sales to go up and your lives to change exponentially. It's in here and it's in here. And it's when here and here are connected with each other.
No, it's a business. Business isn't going to work out if there's no sale. It doesn't. What are we doing here and here? What are we doing here and here? Right? It's a fucking scented wax. What does that have to do with this? You gotta sell it. You gotta make money by selling the fucking shit. Good God. And of course, recruiting people, right?
And we're going to do our best to help make those connections happen.
And it's something that actually, well, I don't know if we're going to tell the full story. We'll see what we end up talking about, but something that happened here in the mission, and we took that, and it was sort of negative that happened, and we took it and put a positive spin on it, and the mission just took off. And so we're actually going to talk about it at reunion.
Yeah.
So
we got a few ideas that I think will get you all excited. Get you working together. Get Scentsy back on top from. It's gonna
everybody's
it's gonna buzz and hum.
Whoa! What have you seen? What's going on with Scentsy? Oh my!
They've all been recruited into Mormonism. Oh my! What the fuck? How I can't wait to hear how often their mission trip is brought up during Scentsy Family Reunion this year.
Yes. People have been requesting that we close with a prayer. Would that be okay?
Yeah, would you say it, Nick?
Oh, no, I think we want to hear from Heidi and Orville.
And then they closed out with a prayer, and I'm just gonna leave that part out. But this was very enlightening for me. I hope it was for you. It's a little different than what I'm usually reacting to in terms of MLM stuff. So let me know how you felt about it. But now it's time for our palate cleanser. TikTok hates your bullshit.
Are you going to look at your menu?
I'm not going to eat any of the food from here. I'm the CEO of my own nutritional company, so I'm painfully aware of all the dyes and the toxins and the poisons that are in this food. But I've got my proprietary nutritional blend, so don't worry, I'm going to be fine.
You're a CEO?
Yep, CEO. It only took me 6 months to get there. It takes most people like 3 years to get CEO.
There's more than one CEO?
Yeah, there's a lot more than one.
How many are there?
I don't know, like 10,000?
There's 10,000 people at the top of your company?
The CEOs aren't the top of our company. The very top of our company is the triple diamond platinum founders, and there's only like 15 of them.
Still, you must make great money as a CEO.
Oh yeah, I mean, most of the money goes right back into the company. You know how it is, but let's just say my entire water bill is paid for by my business.
So what's in your drink?
Why? Have you been paying attention to those lawsuits? Don't pay attention to those lawsuits. They're all crap.
I love her. She is linked in the description below. And as always, thanks for hanging out with me while I talk a bunch of shit, and I will see you in the next one.